I think we just stepped off the London tourist trail.
I guess this Hobbs character doesn't like visitors.
Not the kind of place you'd expect to find a restorer of old masters.
Unless you didn't want to attract attention.
He's attracted ours. Let's see what Mr. Hobbs knows about La Maledicción.
And let's try and get a look inside that portfolio.
I don't think there's anyone home.
There's a light on upstairs.
It was Hobbs's mailbox. There was a note hanging out. For a second, I debated the morality of mail snooping. It was a short debate, and I won. I decided to open the letter. Dear Mr. Hobbs, due to previous incidents, we are writing to inform you that we will no longer be sending models to your address. It went on to discuss Hobbs's temper and other alleged infractions, some of which still carry the death sentence in certain less sophisticated cultures. Interesting. This could come in useful. Slasha. Not a sound. The horn wasn't working. I decided to leave the handbrake alone. I popped open the van's hood. The engine was held together by rust and dirt. Everything was covered in a sticky film of dirty black oil. Half the wiring wasn't connected to anything. It was clear why the horn hadn't made a noise. Neither hornpipe was connected to either the battery or the cab. A bundle of short, severed wires was connected to the battery. None of the wires were connected to anything. A bundle of wires came into the engine bay from the dashboard. Many of the wires seemed to lead nowhere. Piles of junk, mostly boxes of old paints and scraps of picture frames. Mixed in were wires, cardboard, and some dubious-looking old clothes. George Stobart.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart. I trust you have obeyed my instructions not to leave Paris.
Of course, Inspector.
Good. You clearly know which side your cookie is buttered. Now, I require your presence tomorrow at the murder scene for a reconstruction.
I see.
12 o'clock sharp, monsieur. Or, as you would say, high noon.
Sure.
Any failure to comply, and I shall have you extraordinarily rendered. Have a nice day now.
And you. That was Nave. We're required back at the gallery tomorrow for a crime scene reconstruction.
Let me guess. Non-attendance is a criminal offense?
You got it. I had found just what I needed. 2 lengths of wire. I snipped the wire in half. The engine bay was a mess. I connected the wires from the cab to the horn. The wire was just long enough to connect the battery to the horn. Everything was wired up. The horn had power. I figured that should get Hobbs' attention.
All right, hold your blooming horses. What are you up to with my van?
Hello there. We fixed your horn.
So I hear. Now what are you doing in my yard?
Sorry to bother you again, Mr. Hobbs, but... Well, that could have gone better.
He's not exactly the friendliest of characters.
I decided to give it another blast.
For crying out loud, will you leave my van alone?
Sorry, just need a quick word, Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs, do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Yes.
Yes, you will answer a few questions?
Yes, I do mind. Clear?
Not really.
Good. Now get lost.
This Hobbs guy doesn't exactly like visitors.
There must be some angle we can use to talk our way inside.
I decided to give it another blast.
You two again? What is it this time?
Afternoon, Mr. Hobbs. We're from the model agency.
About blooming time. I'm on a deadline. You better come up. About time you two showed up.
Hello, Mr. Hobbs. I was just wondering if...
Can it, Goldilocks? I don't have time for chit-chat. Just get undressed behind that screen.
Undressed?
That was the deal. An extra 20 quid because I need you with your kit off.
The studio was freezing.
And as for you, darling, no need to get undressed. I've got a vivid imagination, so I'll just use that. Either way, just go sit over there on that rug and give me your best Belle Epoque floozy. That's perfect. Just hold it there.
Nico made for a good distraction. I just needed to figure out how to get a look inside that portfolio.
My, if it isn't George Stobart.
Lady Piermont. Oh, my. You're...
Naked? Of course. As an artist's muse, one often finds oneself en pelotas. Now, George, don't be shy. Come here and give me a big hug.
That day was the day the nightmares had begun. Trapped, smothered, choking on lavender.
George, darling, pass me my robe. It's terribly cold in here.
Oi, what are you doing with a blooming robe on? God help me, but you're supposed to be naked. I've got a deadline to meet.
Well, you won't be meeting any deadlines with manners like that. And besides, it's freezing in here.
Lady Piermont and I had met before. She was larger than life, in every way. Lady Piermont.
Oh, George, be a darling and sort the heating out in here.
I'll see what I can do.
Hey! Leave that dial alone.
Sorry, but Lady Piermont is cold. I thought...
Look, pal, I know it's brass monkeys in here, but the wiring in this building is ancient, and the fuse box won't take it. Her Majesty will just have to get used to chapel hat pegs.
Lady Piermont, Mr. Hobbs won't let me turn up the heating.
Well, we'll soon see about that.
Oh, crumbs.
If you do not adjust the heating, I shall refuse to cooperate.
Lady Piermont, it's the circuits. They won't take the strain. You know what old buildings are like.
In which case, I see no reason for this session to continue.
Whoa, Lady Piermont, let's not be too hasty. I'm sure I can accommodate your needs.
Good. Perhaps you can start by letting George here turn up the heating.
Oh, go ahead then, but be careful. The power in here is temperamental.
I turned the thermostat up as far as it would go. I wondered if the suspicious wiring could be used to my advantage.
Oh, you! Get down from there, it's private.
Oh, sorry. How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Oh, don't mind if I do.
Wow, an old Bofson Wang stereo. I hadn't seen one of those for years. The stereo was switched off. Adjusting the volume wasn't going to make any difference. I turned the volume up a few notches.
Oh, you! Get down from there. You'll trip the power in the whole building if you're not careful.
Blowing the power would certainly have distracted Hobbs, but the elevator alone wasn't going to trip the whole system. A word, if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I'm all ears. How can I help?
How did you come to be working with Mr. Hobbs?
Wheresoever a bohemian needs a helping hand, George, mine is always at the ready. And what better way to help than to expose one's flesh to the sensuous brushstrokes of such a talent?
Do you know anything about a stolen painting called La Maledicción?
Oh, is this another of your adventures, George? How delicious. My heart's a tremor, George. Do you think Wilf is mixed up with this?
Maybe, but I need you to act normal until we're sure.
Mum's the word, Georgie.
Can you keep a secret, Lady Piermont?
I am the very soul of discretion, as you know.
You see that portfolio by Hobbs's table? We need to take a peek inside.
Be still, my beating heart. Just give me the nod and I'm putty in your hands.
So what have you been up to since our last encounter, Lady Piermont?
Charity work, dear boy.
Oh, any particular kind?
Young men, George. So many have lost their way. I try to guide them best I can.
Lady Piermont, we need your help.
How thrilling! What do you need? Subterfuge? Legerdemain?
Actually, I just need you to step onto that lift behind you.
Oh, but of course. Is this good, George, darling?
Perfect. Now, just stay right there.
Oh, not again.
I was too late to catch a look at the portfolio. A straw had broken the camel's back. Hobbs was very drunk. I didn't need to sit. It was time for action. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring. Now was my chance. It was one of Hobbs' sketches. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model looked familiar. Impressionist sketches. Well, it wasn't La Maledictio, but it did appear to be a study for an element of the painting, the Ouroboros. There was something different about the image in the center. I figured the sketch might come in handy, so I took it.
What the heck? I told you that portfolio was private.
Huh?
Well, that was fun. Just like when you were a private dick, George.
So, you're not models?
No, Mr. Hobbs.
Well, you can't be a copper. You're not stupid enough. So what the blazes are you doing in my studio?
We're investigating the theft of a painting, La Maledictio, by the Spanish artist El Serp. One of these sketches is a study of that painting.
Well, sure, but what's that got to do with that? I'm a restorer, and I restored it. I've got naught to do with what happened after that painting left this studio. How was I to know it was going to get Henri killed?
Hang on a second. How do you know Henri's dead?
Look, he and I went back a long way. Le Lézard Bleu was on the ropes, so I got the painting into his exhibition. Nothing like this was supposed to happen.
But something did happen, Hobbs. Your friend lost his life.
Look, I'll help you however I can, but this mess is way above my pay grade. What do you want to know?
How come you needed to make so many sketches of the painting to restore it?
Restoration's not about throwing a load of paint around. It takes research. The Serp is a complicated painting. A lot of subtext. A lot of symbols.
Why would anyone want to steal La Maledizio? It's not exactly a famous painting.
True, but there is something special about it that's hard to describe. There's conviction in every brushstroke. Whoever El Serp was, he had a tale to tell. The symbolism is deeply religious.
We have reason to believe that Medovsky is mixed up in the theft of La Maledizio.
Eh? What would he gain from stealing his own painting?
We have strong evidence that Medovsky is not the real owner.
You'll have a hard time proving that. Medovsky has a full set of provenances for the painting. It traces its legitimate ownership all the way back to the painter.
Why didn't Medovsky mention him?
Because they're not with him. Henri's got them. Or had them.
And Henri is dead.
So ask his partner.
Lane?
Lane, yeah, Lane. Look, pal, you're wasting your time looking for conspiracies here. And you're wasting my time if you're not actually going to get naked. Go get the provenance from Lane, and everything will turn out hunky-dory.
But it also puts Marquez's story into question.
Not my problem, darling. Now both of you, get lost. I've got a painting to finish.
And we have a critic to interrogate.
Someone's lying, but who?
Is it the gangster or the old Spaniard?
The painter or the art critic?
I need to head back for Nave's reconstruction.
What about the evidence from Medovsky's house? Will you give it to Nave?
I think I should. And I can put the squeeze on Lane. Ask him about the provenance.
Good. I've got lunch with Ronnie tomorrow. This story is hotting up, and I want to make sure he keeps me on it.
Taxi!